Good morning, everyone. This is the revised MnCHOICES call-in session for April 24th, 2023. Please know you will not receive a PDF of this webinar for today. It really is just a call-in session. We don't have any slides specifically to share with you today, so let's go ahead and get started. So on this slide is the group of folks who are joining me today to answer your questions. As you know, this session is being recorded. We use WebEx audio to, you use it to listen to the session. You are all muted. The only way you can be unmuted is to raise your hand, and then we will answer your question. We'll call on you, unmute you, and then you'll be able to ask your question and we will answer it. For these sessions, you can put questions in the chat. I haven't updated this. Just know that we aren't likely to answer them this session. We really want to take your questions verbally. The reason for that is we want to make sure that we understand the question that you're asking and that we answer your question the best that we can. And so we have found that having a conversation about questions gets better results for you and makes it less confusing for everyone. So our agenda today is to answer your training questions. I'm actually going to go in a very specific order. So, except for it says 2:30 to 4:30 on my slide. So our goal for today is to first start with support planning because support plan questions were the last training questions on our last call-in session, so we want to make them first. Then kind of all other questions that you have, and then we'll go to HRA after that, and we'll go to assessment. I'm going to try to keep them to about 20 minutes each so that we get through each of them. And so I am going to go ahead and ask Beth if there's anyone with their hand raised. If you've had your hand raised for a little bit and it doesn't meet this criteria, we'll just go ahead and answer that question, but just know that after that, we're going to start with support plans. So Beth, do we have people with their hands raised with questions yet this morning?
Not yet, no.
Okay. We will wait. So I'm going to do just a little bit longer if there aren't any other support plan questions, and we'll move to all other questions. But I just want to make sure that if you have any questions related to training and support plans, that we have the opportunity to take them now.
If there aren't any questions.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and move to just any kind of general questions that any of you may have about training that you would like to ask.
Okay, Travis Knutson. Hi, Travis.
There. So my question is on our dashboard, on the My dashboard, the caseload, at least in the revised MnCHOICES training region, it only allows for 20 cases to be scanned down and viewed at any given point in time, but we're most likely going to be having more than that as we do our assignments and for of course case management is being able to view what they have in their caseloads. Is that just a limitation in the training region, or is that going to be something that will be continuing on with the production version as well?
So policy folks, do you know the answer to that question? I do remember that it was asked at last one and I forgot to check it. Me, Travis, that we're going to need to get back to you on that one and answer that one for you. And if
Okay.
it is 20, then your question is going to be, and how will we know who else is on our caseload?
Exactly. And I mean,
Yep.
certainly there's the means to try and look in case assignments if you're an assessor, but if as a case manager, happy to do a search on it can complicate things a little bit. So
Yeah, the only other thing that I could think about that you could potentially do if that limit were to stay, just talking about it in the future, is if you assigned tasks to people, because then they would sit in your My Tasks pile. And so that could be a possibility too. But
And as a
somebody
case
gonna say
manager,
something?
you're always able, oh, sorry, Teresa. As
You
a
go
case
ahead.
manager, you're always able to go in, or assessor, you can go in and do a query to see your full caseload.
Yep, I can show.
okay.
So you can do My Caseload, which is right here, and then it will provide you a report. Let's see. No, it's going to tell me I don't have any caseload available, which is not the case. I actually do. Let's do. Well,
Must be under organization.
I'm going to try.
Try
We're
them
still
all.
trying. Right. So let's do. Come on. So I'll do county assigned by my location. This is my location. Run query. So this is going to run it. This is right now running it for all the location, but you should be able to also, My Caseload should give you your caseload
Okay.
so that you can see it. It may be that that query is currently shut off for MTC.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
writing myself some notes, Travis.
Yeah. So if someone could let us know on a grander scale if it will be a limitation continuing for the caseload, or if there's something that we should be able to scan down through. Um, it kind of seems a little roundabout of a way to try and find out what you all the things that you've been assigned.
Okay,
But if that be a request that we can put out there, I don't know what kind of ticket or what kind of
right.
priority that would have, but certainly something that would help us to be able to see all of the things that we have pending on our caseloads.
Yep. Yeah, so
Thank
I
you.
mean, yep, we'll find out the answer, but that is always something that if you feel like that's an enhancement, you could submit it in once we know the answer.
Well, that definitely would.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Travis, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Jessica Mickelson.
My question is relating to last webinar regarding transfers and assignments. And I think I just missed it. So I've just been curious, can any lead agency assign a location to a person, or does it have to be the CFR?
So your question is, can any lead agency assign a person to assign a staff member to a location? So if you would know the person, yes, it would be possible. So this won't help you out a bit. I'm trying to bring this over today. So if you know who the staff member is, so we'll just take one of my people. I was trying to find someone who doesn't have so much extra on them. Let's see if extra person has a limited amount. I'm in MTZ, the one that you guys use, by the way. So right now I only have one location for my person whose name is extra. I can, Jessica, you're with Clay County, right?
Yes.
So I can assign the person to Clay. I could start them April 30th and save it. And then if I knew the staff member, I could assign the staff member. The issue that you have is you have to pick the role first. And so you would have to know who the certified assessor is for that agency. And because I mean, I suppose if you're doing courtesies between each other, you might know that information. This is where we're hoping that maybe at some point, MICP will be functional, because then you could do it to the list of people at that agency. But what's going to happen is the way assignment works is you're going to get all the certified assessors for the state of Minnesota in this drop down, because it doesn't let you choose the location first. You have to pick the staff person first.
Oh, okay. And I'm
So,
thinking more for like when we're doing a county of location, so the person is residing in our county, we're
mhm,
doing the assessment, you know, we'll receive the 6790.
Yep.
I'm just worried about this step and revision getting missed
yep.
until everybody's in the swing of doing it. So just making sure we'll be able to assign our own certified assessors to
Yep,
the
you'll be
person.
able to. Yep.
Perfect.
So,
Okay.
yep.
That was my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Teresa, we don't have any more questions on this topic.
Okay. We can go ahead and do, are there any questions about HRAs that we need to speak to?
Okay, Annie Vaughn. Hi, Annie.
You can confirm whether or not when we have somebody, a staff person who's the SMBC care coordinator and also the waiver case manager, whether they will be able to use the combined, a single sort of assessment with the healthy living domain, or whether they will have to do a separate HRA and a separate MnCHOICES assessment.
So, we've been having a conversation here about when your questions aren't about training, but they're about policy. And it feels like this is one of them. And we are really trying to keep this to training and policy, but from your standpoint, you're saying it's not clear. You don't feel like it's clear yet, like you know the answer to that policy question yet.
I'm not sure, and it does just impact our training
Yep.
here in our county, at least, because
Yep.
how we train is sort of dependent on whether or not they're going to be able to do a single assessment or not.
Mhm. Yep, I hear you. So I am assuming policy that we need to be able to, that, do we have that communicated anywhere we can point to? Or is that something that we need to communicate back on? Can we answer that question?
We will have to communicate it out. We'll have to
Okay.
get you some more specific information about it.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Amy.
Annie. Teresa, I'm not seeing any other questions.
Okay. We can move to MnCHOICES assessment then. Are there any questions that people have about the MnCHOICES assessment in the application for training that you would like to talk about?
Madonna? Hi there.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. This is Madonna with Anoka County.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you. In our current MnCHOICE assessment, we have the ability to create the LTC screening doc and the PCA service auth. We don't have that capability of creating a PCA or what's going to be the CFSS service auth in the revised MnCHOICE application. Is there any talk about adding that to the current assessment or to the revised application?
You should have the ability to do it when you're doing, when your program type is CFSS. So if you select your program type as CFSS, you will then be given the option to print out a type service authorization in the support plan.
Oh, it's in the support plan.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's not gonna, so it's not gonna be, okay, so it's not gonna be a part of the assessment.
No, it isn't, because, well, for PCA, it's a type B, right? You're including some information into that type B service authorization from the assessment, but you're also creating your plan in the support plan. And so they built the type B within the support plan. So the information comes over from the assessment, and it's all included in the support plan when you're able to do it when you're using CFSS as the program type.
So how is that gonna work with the PCA then? Until we go to.
Until we launch.
Until we launch CFSS. So I know there's gonna be a workaround in
Well,
the revised
everything
MnCHOICE.
CFSS equates to PCA. So you would just, if you need to do a PCA service authorization, you're just going to select a program of CFSS, and it'll work the same way for PCA. You'll just include the service of PCA.
Okay, so when you're in the support plan, there will be a tab or a button or something that we can select that will print out in a PDF form, the CFSS service auth that we would send or enter into MMIS. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
It is,
Okay.
exactly. It's right, it's in the print menu. You'll be able to print it out. You can't, depending upon the program you select, what you're printing, so you wouldn't be able to print necessarily a waiver service auth, but you could print a type B. And the reverse is true for if your program is a waiver, you wouldn't be able to print a type B, but you could print a waiver service auth.
Sure. Okay.
So
Are we
no,
able to do
it's tied
that
to
now?
program.
Yeah, are we able to do that
should
now
be.
in the training zone?
That's what I'm going to, right?
You should.
That's what I was doing while you were talking. So this is what they can currently see in their training zone. Right here, right?
But
Correct.
it's only going to populate for you. I don't know what your program is for this
Yeah.
person.
Right. No, I was just going to show
Yep.
where it was. I don't know that it will populate anything either because I don't know what my person has. Doesn't look like anything.
Right.
But at least you can see that it does exist in the print drop-down menu.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so we don't have any more questions.
We'll just wait just a couple more minutes. If people have other general questions that you want to ask, I'm willing to take them not in the order anymore. If you are like, oh, let's go back and talk about that some more. So just want to make sure that we have a chance to answer any. Go ahead.
It spurred lots of questions. It's moving around fast. Leah, I'm going to unmute you. Hi, Leah.
Me. Hi. When will we be getting the latest version of the training zone? I think that's going to really impact a lot of questions for people when we can actually play in a truer environment.
Yep. All I can tell you is that I know that it is in the works. I do not have a date yet that on when it will be shared.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yep.
Okay, Jessica Mickelson.
Well, since we're talking about the print feature, so one of the options in the assessment for print is Save for PCA report. And I'm just wondering what the function of that is. When I've looked at it, it's kind of person-centered questions. I don't know what we would ever use that for.
You want me to
Does that
try to?
automatically print into the CFSS Type B service
You
agreement?
won't. You won't use that report. It's not in the new MCC environment. It just has we haven't done any cleanup in NTZ in the current environment that you're in, but it's not a report that you would use.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was looking at it wondering what is this for and why do we have to say PCA report? So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, you'll use, from the assessment, you'll use the supplemental charts, summary charts, supplemental summary charts is the name as your PCA information to inform the PCA provider.
So the supplemental summary chart is what we send to the PCA providers.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, Allison.
About the data migration, I guess just looking for some clarification. So I'm from an MCO, so we do the RS tool in the current MnCHOICES application. So just to clarify, from April 3rd until launch, if we have a newly created member in the current MnCHOICES application, we also need to manually enter them in the revised application once it launches. Is that right?
That is what we know currently, but the piece that I wanted to show you is adding them if once they're loaded in the MnCHOICES assessment application, and then they will start showing up in Swindex. So like the next day after they've been added there, when you come to here and go to add them, what will happen is I'm just going to make someone up. I'll pick somebody that I already have. So, oh, I can't do Angie because you can see her already. When you go to, let's pretend this person doesn't exist yet, right? So when you go to add them, you'll put in the basic information about the person and then you'll click continue. And what will happen is you'll go through these windows. You'll go through potential duplicates. It'll look to make sure somebody already doesn't exist in the revised MnCHOICES application. And then it'll go look at Swindex and MMIS for the person. And if the person exists there, then what's going to happen is that person will display down here. It'll say, it'll give you a list even potentially of people. And then you can pick that person and then hit continue. And then that person will be brought over into the MnCHOICES database. So, when we talk about adding data, it should be minimal. If you add MnCHOICES assessment one day and then the next day come and do this, it should be pulling the data over. So just so that you understand that.
But so if we do like an RS tool for a newly created member today in the current application, then once it launches, we have to go through this process that you're talking about in the new application?
Yes, as far as the instructions that we have currently, whether or not other migration will occur, we do not know the answer to it yet. We've asked the question.
Okay, and then from there, it's a monthly auto load of like the historical docs once that person's in the revised application?
Correct. Yep, because they'll have a PMI, so they'll be able, or a social security number. So a month later, any historical documents that have the status of closed will then pull over into the application, and it'll just keep doing it on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, our next question is from Karen.
Hi, this is Karen in Winona County. I just had a question to clarify things, Teresa. Earlier, when you were answering a question, you said something about when you're doing a courtesy assessment. But aren't assessments done by county of location or county of residence? And then, so why were you speaking about courtesy assessments? I guess that confused me again.
So I shouldn't speak to policy, but it is something that could happen if you have a conflict of interest with an assessor or something. Lead
Okay, so
agencies
not
do.
talking about changing county of a location or county of residence for anything in the future.
No, no.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yep, you're welcome. Sorry about that.
Okay, Laura. Hi, Laura.
Just a question, can we stop doing the Q document or is that still required for our assessments through April?
I'm sorry, Laura, can you repeat your question?
Are we still required to use the 3428Q document for RS tools, or can we stop using that? I recall at a previous meeting, we were told we wouldn't have to use it anymore, but I just completed a reassessment and it was required for keying into MMIS.
Is this one that we have to take back, or?
No, it's there's an e-list that was sent out about evaluations. About the LTSS evaluations and the work that should happen there. Sorry, I'm just waiting for a response.
Is specific to Fond du Lac? It's in the RS plan. It's the budget. So it's a RS plan and a budget. So it says like rate details and it'll say final daily rate and then it'll say daily rate. Yeah, that's the max you could have. But we always just put the final. Right. Just Fond du Lac inquiry. Just put the final. Okay. I just want to make sure I say that.
Yeah, so you're very quiet, so it's hard for us to tell if you're talking to someone else in the office and sharing with us, or if you're talking to us. Sorry about that. But I heard you say something about budgets.
No, sorry, that was background conversation in the office.
That's what I thought. That's what I figured it was, because I know you're all sometimes sit in a room together. So is there anything else that you need on that?
Nope, just wondering if we need to keep doing those.
So is there something to point them to? Was
Yeah,
it the
we'll get you
last?
an answer. We'll get you an answer shortly.
And are we going to put it? Okay.
Sorry, this is Ricky. I'm not sure if you can hear me okay.
Yep.
Hi, Ricky.
I was just going to point to the e-list that went out on the use of the LTSS improvement tool evaluations. And if you're talking about instructions, you're talking about the 3428Q, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if you, the 3428Q, if you're doing reassessments that are completed in the revised applications, you no longer have to complete the 3428Q. But then in that e-list, we do have directions on how you should code that in MMIS. And so if you don't, there's more direction that we provided in that e-list. And so if you don't have that, we would be happy to share it with you.
Is it in this e-list that I'm displaying, Rakia, or is it in the aging side e-lists?
It's the Aging and Disability Services e-list that went out earlier. It looks like February 7th. Here, I can put the link in the chat.
Thank you, Rakia.
Okay. Sheila? Sheila, I unmuted you.
Okay. Am I muted still?
We can hear you.
No.
Okay. So this is kind of on the same lines. So we do the workaround for the mini cog, and then when we go to the RS tool, then they're looking for the mini mental status exam results. Is because we're not rolling out on the same time frames. I think we're having not everything's following. So is there recommendations because the mini mental status exam results are not posted in the MMIS screening doc?
I'm giving them a moment to speak with each other. It may be something they have to.
Hi, this is Kathy. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
No, you go right ahead.
There is an e-list that went out on this. I was just trying to find the date. One went out, I believe, on,
I'm going there too.
yeah, April 4th, I believe, and then there was one on the 11th, I believe.
Yep, hang on.
I think, are you referring to, yeah, we don't do the mental status exam, but we put in the codes for the mini cog. But then when we go to the RS tool, we need the mini mental codes, not the mini cog or the cog.
So in the instructions, if you look at the full e-list, it gives instructions on how to translate the results of the mental status evaluation into a mini cog value.
Right, but how do you pull that into the RS tool? Because when the LTC screening doc is pulled and entered into MMIS, we're not entering the mini mental. And that's what's being asked on the RS tool still.
We, Amy, I don't know if, Amy Rumsa, sorry, I don't know if you want to speak to this or what they should add to the RS tool, if it's something we need to take back and have some more conversation about and provide direction on.
Okay. So we're going to have to get back to them on it.
Yeah, it's a great question, Sheila. Thank you. Okay, Ashley.
Hello.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, good morning. Going back to the mini cog field, we discovered in Ramsey County that for folks that are over 65 somehow, even though my assessors didn't enter the mini cog field in MMIS, they didn't get an edit. But the under 65 assessors, or the assessors that complete assessments for under 65, if they didn't enter the mini cog field, then they get an edit.
So you're saying for the over 65 and MMIS, they did not get an edit, but for under 65, they did.
Yes. Because my team does assessment for over 65 and nobody asked me about the edit. And then I checked with a few of them. They said, well, I didn't get an edit. I'm still filling out the same way. I'm like, what? So.
Do you remember what edit you got by chance?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Elizabeth. Say that again.
Do you remember the edit that you got that MMIS gave you?
Well, for I only helped out one assessor with an edit for, when she was entering the under 60, folks that are under 65. But I'm just saying that for my team, none of my assessors encountered the edit when they're not entering the mini cog field.
When they leave it blank.
Thank you.
Right.
Yep. We will take that back. Thank you. Okay, Lana Callan.
I just wanted to follow up on that. I put it in the chat too, but wasn't sure. My staff got the edit 646 in MMIS for that mini cog age 65 older entry needed, but we were able to follow the information you have up on the screen right now for what to enter, and so we were able to bypass that, make it work. And then I just wanted to clarify, I guess, on the question before for the MSC score. As far as the rate plan goes, I've just we've still had to complete the MSc in order to get the mini cog score in MIS, because we're not doing the mini cog assessment right now. And so we've just been using that MSc score on the rate plan score. So I don't know if somebody was trying to say, you know, that they couldn't get the score, but I guess our staff has still been completing the MSc in order to get, you know, the entry in.
Yeah, because that's what I was seeing here when I originally looked at it, but I wasn't sure that, I don't know the policy, but I just saw this sentence.
Yeah, we were confused with it at first. Then I was like, well, wait, we still have to do it to get the score, to see what that score translates into on the mini cog. And so then while I was doing it, it just made sense to put that score in the rate plan system. So, but I just wanted to clarify on that and then give you guys the edit number that we were seeing.
Thank you, Lana, very much. Much appreciated. Any other questions?
Well, Sheila, you still have your hand up, but I'm not sure if we just didn't get it taken down after your last question. Yep. Oh, thank you. No, we don't have any more questions right now.
Okay, I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes because if we don't have other questions, then we'll close today's call. But I want to make sure I give everybody a chance to ask any other questions that they might have.
Sarah Hickman. Hey, Sarah.
Going back to Madonna Cormier's question about the CFSS service agreement, being in the support plan, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this when it comes to workflow, because currently we have to have the service agreement in, on the initial assessment side, 7 days after, you know, by day 7, if you will. And so the other instruction we I guess have been told over the years is that, you know, initial assessors don't do the support plan if it's going to open to waiver and they have a case manager. So in that sense, how would we get the CFSS service agreement done if it's only located in the support plan?
Well, it's located in the support plan today too, right? I mean, are you filling it out in that assessment or are you filling it out?
Yeah, no, it's in the assessment. You fill it out in the assessment. And yes, when you get to that support plan, once you kind of know which way things are going, yes, it does.
Right.
But that's not where we're not having our case aides open the support plan to do the entry for a PCA service agreement. You know, we're sending it in, we're printing off that PCA service agreement and have, you know, so our workflow is outside of the system, I guess, is my point.
Right. Well, I think the only way to get it is to create a CSS or a CFSS program type service or support plan. You know, that's just how it works. And so it might be having to look at workflow a little bit so that once the assessment is complete, that you are opening that support plan.
Okay.
And moving
right,
it to
so
in progress, assessment complete.
Yeah, if that's going to be your direction, then can you make sure on your trainings that is assessors are given that direction when they do the, you know, online trainings?
Yeah, we can take a look at it and see that we
that is a, I
clearly
mean,
do it.
that's a significantly different direction than you guys have ever taken before for an initial assessment going open to waiver. So it's almost the two pieces that are in the support plan right now that are challenging for initial assessment workflow is this PCA CFSS service agreement only located in the support plan, as well as the signature document in the support plan. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I am not seeing any other questions.
Okay, we'll just wait a few more moments to see if there are any other questions.
Teresa, this is Kathy. Can I just clarify one thing quick?
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify with everybody. I think there might have been a little misunderstanding when the e-list came out about the mini cog values and when our launch was paused. But I just wanted to make sure everybody is understanding that we're still using the mental status evaluation and then translating it to a mini cog value, but we are not expecting people to use the mini cog right now until revised MnCHOICES is launched. And that's what it says in our training too. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. I think it might not have been real clear in our communication. Thank you, Teresa.
Yep. Is there any other questions?
I am not seeing any hands raised at this moment.
Okay, I'm just going to wait another minute or so, and if there aren't any other questions, then I'll close the call for today. So hearing no other questions, Mom, you can go ahead and stop the recording. Oh, wait a second, hang on. Okay, yep, you can go ahead and stop the recording and we will end today's call.